to get that to 16 inches, just so I have plenty. Okay, and I'm using square wire. So in the video, and we'll start this all the same, I'm just going to use my fingers and straighten it all out. And I'll start with this one. I'm getting to about midway in the wire here of my 16 inches, right? And I'm just going to make, I'm going to use this top bit of the crystal. So for crystals, right, we need to be, you know, let me see, about 2 or 3 millimeters, you see, before it breaks and goes into a point. And you can bend forward or bend back, doesn't matter. And I'm just going to wrap around this twice. And come back to where I started. And the crystal is going to be slippery for a little bit. I'll just turn it over. Ooh, I need more space on my desk, y'all. So this is going this way. I'm going to consider this the back of my crystal. So I'm going to straighten it out, but I'm going to go the opposite direction of where I just, you know, to keep going in the coil. Whoop. And I'll hold that spot. And I'll turn around the crystal 2 times and go back to the back, which is right here. See, the crystal's still loose, so don't panic. So you can use a little bit of a tie right here. Hey, good morning, Linda. So I'm going to show you the original, you know, version of what I modified, what I learned way back in the day from, I think, Preston, maybe Nick's Creations. So let's just get about 4 inches of 26 gauge or 28 gauge tiny wrapping wire. And you don't actually have to wrap this, but I'm going to, because if some of us don't have, you know, strong fingers, then this is kind of difficult without the wire being wrapped. I have to put an order into Rio. Oh yeah. So here I go. I'm just going to get 4 or 5 inches of, I think I grabbed some 28 gauge, and I'll just slip through here. There's a little bit of slack. So, you know, you can tie these together with 2 or 3 little wraps, and I'm just going to do it quick and sloppy Joe real quick here. And that helps you to stay together. You don't necessarily have to do this if you can hold on to all of it. Ooh, maybe I won't do it because it's more of a pain to tie them through there. So anyway, if you feel like you need to, you stitch there and you stitch there. Otherwise, if you can hang on to it, what you're going to do is bend in the opposite direction. So you'll hold on to your little wire right there, or you can make a pre-bend, kind of up and turn. You're holding on to all that business right there. And you're just going to do a rounded turn, okay? All the way around that crystal. So here's the front. And I'm going to bend to the front of this other wire, just like that. So in my modified version, we made a point right there, bent up, and went that direction anyway. It just in a point instead of this nice swoop. But the maneuver, the motion is the same. So from right here, I'm going to hold everything steady, Betty. Keep my curve the way I want it. And I'm going to make a nice tight loop. This is big wire. I'm using 18 gauge. So instead of stressing my wire out, I'm going to use my plier and help me get around there. Pinch. And just hang out right there for a second with that guy. Okay, this other one now, you know, goes in the opposite direction. It back bends. A little easier on this one because we've got it held for us. But even still, I'll put my thumb there, This is the one we just worked with, and you'll just kind of keep that going forward. So right here, hold it. Make a nice, elegant curve. Pass around to the front. Here's the front, just like we did. And you'll come bend to the back here. So this was the original design, and it's, you know, this works for unisex, right? The pointies are what make it a little more feminine. So here I'm going to attach to this wire by passing through there. If I want to use this length, then I'm going to keep this length on the wire, and I'm going to pass through and use it and make a knot right there. If I don't want to use this length and design, make it easy on yourself and cut it short, you know, and wrap and close it. But to get through, I'm going to take a long bend in my wire, way out here. Come pass through softly, pull down, straighten your leading wire out, push a little, watch your curve, help it up until you love it. And then when you get it, I'm looking at the back of my pendant because here's my little swoop over. When you get it the way you want, you're going to hold it right there. And then take it right down into that armpit and get your plier out to help you. You're holding that big loop so it doesn't close up while you pinch all this closed. And just make nice, soft little pinches all the way around and close it up. Okay, the stone is captured now. Your crystal's in there. And, you know, we can tighten these little bits up again by making bends back here, or you can do some banding if you need to. But I have some extra length, right? I want to use it. So right here, I'm going to keep all that under control. I'm going to take this wire over and just shape it till it comes back to the front of my pendant. And then I'm just going to follow this nice line that I already have, you know, echo it back and just give myself another nice swoop. I can close it off right there. Right? I don't need it, or I can do another little something something if I want, but let's just say I don't want. So I'll just cut it to where it's a comfortable wraparound length. It's about 1/2 inch. Take my plier, come around that little shoulder. I'm going to preserve all your nice elegance there. And just make a nice closing wrap. When I get it close, I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to leave just enough so that I can lay it down right there, nice and neat. So there we go. This gets a little tighter. If I feel like there's too much slippage, you can take this wire over the tip of your crystal, right? And make sure, you know, or if I need to, or I can just do weaving, or I can add another wire. So if all I want to do is echo the other side, see, you can always be forgiving with yourself there. Go again and go to the back. And I can tuck right into that armpit right there. Just like that. So if I feel like my crystal is slipping, which it is, I can take this little bit and say, what do I need to do? Do I need to do another little curl right here? Just a little something, you know, so that it doesn't slide through. Oop. Do I need to tie it? Do I need to weave it? But these are ideas. that you can do. So here's the original, this was the original design. So you can see that all I did was, made the tip down here, and we swooped over and did the same up top, and we weaved it. And all of that helps the crystal to stay in. The other thing you can do, however, to change this look, let me tie this down. I'll come this way with it since I looped it this way. Woo! I'll just get rid of that right there. Ooh. And spread these out a little bit. Okay, and that should steady up the crystal. Do you see that I dropped it, just below the ridge of where that crystal breaks? And that helps to steady up the motion. So you never have to freak out. Get it harnessed, and then you fiddle these little guys a little bit until you catch. This is the same as kind of the soft shoulder of your cabochons. You just need a wire over that little bit, and then the crystal is stable. Okay, so don't be afraid of those. And then now, of course, I have all this business I can do design on, right? I can weave, I can add more wire, I can go nuts. But I can also take them from here. My swoop is here. So if I took this upper wire, I'm at the back of my crystal now, and I just make an inward bend and lay it down on the back nicely. And then just echo that bend right here. Hold your curves out. Just echo a little bend inward. It gives me a little bit of a different look in the front. You see what we just did? We just took it in. And then you can, always fiddle this a little bit with your fingers, make it a little more graceful. Use your pliers, etc. And try to see how many crystal wraps I can show you today before my fingernails give way. And then if I want to do the same to the opposite side, I can do the same. Keep the swirl, and then come up here either with your fingers or with your plier, and just make a little divot inward. Everybody's saying, don't use your fingernails that way. So now we have this, and that's so cute. And then you just work it with your fingers. The crystal's quite stable now that we know where to catch it on each side. And now I can weave, I can bead ball, I can add more, or I can just leave it like this because that's a groovy look for, bracelets and sideways bar pendants and such. You might stitch right there, keep this locked back, maybe a cute weave, or this side's cute too, maybe another little bead in there or bead in there. You have a two-way situation, right? Dangle something off of it. Okay, so there's that, which is also this, right? I hope you guys all saw that, which is also this, right? I just dented them in there. This crystal just happens to be half the size as this one. So, but that's, and I flared it out maybe a little bit more. Yes, very cute and versatile. And then you just stitch them up and they're, 10,000 different pendants each way. So here's this one. It was the same as what I just did, pretty much, but I only dented in the one side. I might have done it, slightly different. Oh yeah, I did a point on one. See here, I combined them. I did the point on the one side, like Emily, but I left it curved out on the other side, like what I just showed you. Little variations of the same thing. So it's also this, right? For the long cabochons. I think I was going to do the marquee next and show you. I think I said I was going to do them side by side and then got to talking and forgot. Okay, so let me just show you this again now on this little marquee. And I'm getting 16 inches of 18 gauge wire. Okay. And because I have a cabochon this time, I'm going to face the front of my cab so that my wire, swirls in the back, right? And I'm at the center of my wire here. And I'm going to do the same as the crystal. I'm going to make a little soft 90-degree bend in my wire. We'll see how she goes here. I'm holding it to the back of my cab. I'm pressing it in each time I go around. You would do the same to your crystal, Rosetta, and just come, whoop, back to the back. Be real careful when you're using your cabs. Make sure that your cab can take this kind of pressure. So here my coil is going this way, my wire's facing this way, so I just need to know that I'm going to go opposite. So I'm going to make a little dent right there. Hold it all steady and flat. I don't have to be all big and perfect. I can just go around. I'm pushing it into the flat contour of my, see, it's not just round. I'm pushing it flat as I pass the back of my cab because my cab is flat, right? Woo! And you're not letting anything turn as you go. If it loosens up, you tighten it up by this, like this, pushing back. Here too, hold on to the leading wire, hold on to your coils and push that back to center. And that's, here we're pretty steady Betty in there. And so now you can handle this one in all the same way. Let's do Emily with this one, or a happy. So from here, I'm going to take my plier and I'm going to help me make a 90-degree turn to get the wire back out to horizontal. I'll do the same to this side here. Squeeze your plier, hold your coils. I'm turning with downward pressure so that I don't uncoil myself as I bend that wire. Okay. So there's my beautiful marquee now in the middle of a wire. And just like Emily, I'm going to look here also. If I need to do a quick squeeze, I don't know if I can, let me see if I can show this to you. It's kind of a little far apart. If I feel like I need to, you can do a very gentle squeeze, just know your cab, right? Gentle squeezing. And then down here, just like Emily at the point, I'll hold it about 3 or 4 millimeters from the point there, and I'll make a 90-degree turn straight up the center of my cab. Okay. I'm going to go to the left since that's the natural way of my coil. It doesn't so much matter if you're going to weave it all together anyway. And I'll make a nice graceful bend. Oop. Can I stop dropping my stuff today, you guys? So I'm about midway. I'm going to just press it down to make sure I got the tip of that cab and that it looks nice. I like to leave a little opening in case I need to pass wire and grab that. You can always close that stuff up later. Okay, and here, I'm just going to make sure that my slant is nice and elegant. And I'm going to use my fingers and help me just shape a nice curve going to the back of this wire. So pretty. I'm just going to T-bone that wire right there. You can hold it right there. And I can go 360 around here. It helps to put a little something at the tip of that. Even though on a marquee you shouldn't need to. It shouldn't move. But anyway, it puts a little bit of a curve right there if you need to hold the tip of your marquee down. Just like that. Go all the way around it and get that next one right next to the wire to lock in. Ooh! This one is just like the elegant crystals. There I go. So, and then you can motion this if it moves. You can motion it a little bit back to center. So nice and elegant. Whew. Everybody take a breath. So now here, I'll turn this guy up 90 degrees. Oh, good. I'm so glad you like them, Carolyn. So I'm just going to turn this one up 90 degrees. If I want to weave all this, you know, obviously I can. I can put them together here now. And I can weave, you know, that into a nice bail and come back down the other side. So I'm just going to do that real quick with us. So you can take, hopefully you guys are still with me. And if not, remember that we record all of these live streams. So you never have to miss anything. You just go back and rewatch it. So if you got this far and then lost me, set it aside, don't throw it away, and then rewatch and pick up where you left off. Because it's always good to have recordings. So I'm going to get about 2 feet. I'm going to use 26 gauge round so my weaving goes a little faster. You could use 28. You could use 26. I've got 2 feet of 26 gauge weaving wire. And I'll just come up here. You know, one's going to be longer than the other. That's okay, because one went around the crystal, so one is supposed to be shorter. So you just come in here, you hold a little fragment here, so you can weave. And then the weave I like is, I think it's called the sumac. I don't know weave names, y'all. So it's just overhanded, and it's a 360 around the bottom one. Come up, 360 around the top one, which puts you to the back. You could do figure eights through here too. So this is just going 360 around the bottom. It's just one continuous overhand motion, and you're 360 around each wire as you pass it. So I'll weave, and you keep a little space. That's probably too big. Just get a little space between them. It's about 1 millimeter or so. I probably started out a little bigger than I wanted, but that's okay. It'll still be beautiful. So keep weaving for a minute. Ooh, ooh, I got stuff everywhere. I'm colliding into stuff everywhere. Okay. So you guys, it started snowing yesterday, and we have about, I don't know, 7 inches of snow out there, maybe 6. I love it. We haven't had much snow. I'm going to weave, I think, for about 1 inch, and then I'll fold this over and decide what I want to do. So you can weave to your liking. You could have also used half round and done this, you know, traditional bale style. But we have tons of food. Oh, you only got a dusting? No, Linda. No, I got snow that's very big over here, up here in Loveland. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not shut you down snow, but it's definitely inconvenient to go anywhere and better to stay home kind of snow. And it's been snowing all day. Hasn't let up at all. So it'll be shoveling tomorrow. But that's okay. It's perfect timing, right? We all just cooked all this food for Thanksgiving. And, and so we have tons of food. We don't have to go anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to just keep weaving. I hope I'm not losing some of you guys. Ooh. And just push your weave back as you go. Make it nice. Keep them side by side and don't overlap the previous one. 26 is a little bit thicker wire. I normally weave with 28, but 26 I thought I would show. It's a little faster in motion. Oh, you're not having any snow. You're in Pueblo. Yeah, maybe you're not having any snow. We're having snow up here. Yay, Colorado. Okay. So once I get the distance that I want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over. And we're going to do some more crystal wraps here, so don't freak out. I'll get rid of this little leading wire. You can do that by a little bit of tension, big circles until it breaks. Make sure that you stay nice. And then you can use your round nose pliers or you can use your fingers, whichever you prefer. And I, don't need too much. So about 1/4 of an inch or maybe 1/2 an inch. And I don't need my bale wire to be too tall. Bend straight back over both of them. And then you can either hold it with your fingers, or if you can't hold it with your fingers, you can get it very softly with some pliers right there. And do nice curve over here to the left, just past the stone. Push down. And then you've got a nice bale there. And you can keep weaving to your liking, all right? I'm going to do just a couple of more strokes down to here, and then I'm probably, just for time's sake, going to curve the wires and move on to the next project so we can learn some more things. So I'll just keep weaving a few more stitches here, and maybe I'll just change the pattern and start coiling, because you can always change the pattern whenever you want to. And I'll just go around and around so it'll be faster. Trying to avoid hitting my camera here too. My camera's right there. And once you feel like, if you feel like you need to attach, there's going to be this little bit of wire right there, the frame wire. I just changed to normal coils to go a little faster. You could pass through there and catch 1 or 2. It's thick enough wire against a small enough stone. You shouldn't, I'm not going to catch it, but you can keep weaving or keep doing whatever you'd like to those wires. And you want to make sure that you're on a nice, nice flat plane so that it lays down, that your wires aren't tilted back or anything. And so right here, use your finger and start shaping a nice curve that you prefer or that you like. You can tie on right here or anywhere to the back, but the easiest place would be down here with the short end of the 2 long wires, just like we did in Emily. So there I make a nice pass. That could have been all woven, right? Bring it in as you like or not. And then we'll use the short one on the inside here and we'll just lock it down. I could have woven all that down there. And I'm going to do just a fast coiling down there to pretend that it's all together. You guys obviously would weave or do something, more lovely than that. Your wire is just going to be down here. So I'm going to bend the long one out straight. Oh, I'm so glad I'm inspiring you. That's what I want to do. That's what I hope to do. So after my weave is down here, my weaving wire would be down here as well, or my coiled wire. So I would take my short one there, and there's not enough to do too much. So I could pass it through there if I wanted to use that length, or of course, we can always cut it and make that tie on a little easier for us. Curl that in there. and then lock it down. You know, cut it nice and neat and turn it over and lock it in, right? So that would have been beautifully weaved like this one, same wrap, but we put a cabochon in there. And so now we have this wire. I can weave it, I can twist it, I can coil it, I can do whatever with it. Let me just, this is square wire, so if some of you newbies don't know, I can take some flat pliers and I can twist my square wire and give it a little bit of a scalloping. You see that? It also hardens the wire, so bear that in mind. So if you're going to do tight little turns, you know, this is not the greatest idea because it's harder. But if you want to do this nice big swooping turn, or for bales, this is a great technique because it gives you nice hard wire. I'm going to go just a millimeter or so below the point there. And I'm going to handle it just as if I had coiled it. I'm going to come straight up beside it. I'll hold it there with my plier and give a nice swooping bend to it and pass it right next to that other wire. So I hope you can see how that happened. So pretty. And then you can, you know, if you feel like you need a little stitching there, you can put a little bead ball there. You cut your weaving wire and stitch a little bit of those two together. Okay. Otherwise, you use your finger over here and you make nice, see how beautiful it looks when you can go into a nice long curve. Then it's beautiful. And then you can do more with the length, or you can be finished here at the neck by wrapping it right around there. And I'm going to be finished here at the neck so that I can show you some other stuff, but I am going to show you how to pass it through if you have length that you want to go down again. So we preserve our nice curve. We come way out here and we bend the tip and we inch it back into that space. Get it through there. Pull a little and straighten your wire. Push a little and pull a little and straighten your wire. Watch your curve go through. And you see how that happens? And then, you know, stop where you like it. So if I want to leave it flared out a little bit, I'm going to hold on to it so it doesn't close up while I go around the neck. Ta-da! And then I have this bit, I can do something more. That's, you know, whatever you want to do. I'm going to cut it off right there and just leave it closed. So had I known I was going to cut that off, I would have cut it off before and made that turn a little easier on myself. And take a little file if you need to there. So there you have that, right? Ooh, that could have been and is the same as this one. You can see that. So this cabochon could have also been one of my larger DT crystals. But now you have this technique for cabochon. And you want to make sure that everything is nice, you know, stitch or tie bead balls or add wire. And you want to make sure it lays down nice, and it does. So there we go. And then, you know, fiddle it to your liking. So pretty. Okay, so that's another one. All right. So now, let me see, what can I show you now? Let's go to, any questions, you guys? Throw them out there if you got questions. Okay, so here's the traditional one, right? We do this traditional framing on cabochons all the time, but we can do this for our crystals as well, whether they be smooth crystals like this or, you know, crystals that are more like that, right? So here I'm using smaller wires. These are 22 on a, not a huge crystal, but the reason I'm using smaller wires is because I'm using this banding technique and I want 4 wires. So if I were using 20 or 18, it would be way too much wire for this technique on this size crystal. So I've taken the wire size down to 22, but I'm using 4 of them. So it looks deliberate, substantial, and appropriate for, this size crystal and this type of framing, right? I hope all that makes sense to you guys. So I went ahead and I already set one up here. So here goes 4 square, soft copper wires. And you really only needed like 10 inches here. I gave myself, I think, a foot times 4 pieces. And I went ahead and used 22 gauge half round wire like we know how to do. And I did a little banding. I'm going to go ahead and cut these off. For those of you who don't know, you'll see me band the other side of them in just a second. So I'm going to cut these off so that my cuts live on those 4 bands and they're not falling off. And I'm going to tighten them, but not so much that they don't move in case I need to shift them. Okay? So there's 4 wires here. I'm going to make a split. I'm keeping all 4 of these flat, but I'm going to make a deliberate little split right there. I'll hold that split and just bring them back together so that I have a little bit of a split right there. Just keep them flat. Don't worry if it's not 100% perfect yet. But get it, as good as you can be, just that little opening right next to your bands. And then we'll take about 4 inches of 22 gauge half round wire and we'll band this other side. So for you newbies who are joining me, half round wire is round wire cut in half. So it has a flat side. And you can flash it, and the flat side is the brighter of the 2 sides. So we just run our finger over it, make it straight, and then I'm going to bend it so that the flat side is on the inside of that bend. And then right here, I'm just going to, this is about a 1/2 inch. I'm just going to wrap 3 or 4 times, same as the other side. Make my wraps side by side. Put them together and do a light tap. Come over here and cut these ends off. And lightly tap those down. See, I want it shifting a little bit so that I can move it inward. Okay, so to spread this out evenly, I'm going to take my round nose plier. I spread this out just enough to get the tip of it through there. Just the center. Keep it all straight and just work those 2 wires all the way down until that opens up. It keeps them side by side and it gives you a nice big opening. And now you can take your little crystals, and here's my Larvacite Black Moonstone, double terminated. That is what DT, David Thomas, double terminated crystals are, 2 points. So you can hold it with your hands, or you can pre-bend this with your plier. But basically just take these up the sides of your crystal, put the point in there, and take these up 2 flat sides of your crystal. Whoop. Trying to stay underneath the camera here, y'all. Keep those wires flat to either side. Whoop. And the fun part is that you start to push. So you see these little bands are sliding. It gives me some leverage to put them where I need them so that this opens up a little bit. And I'm just using my fingers. And I'm basically just opening those up a little bit. I hope you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just holding the wires. As I push, the wires are moving, So that's it. That's the bottom capture of your crystal right there. And keep these side by side with just your fingers. Just work patiently. Don't let them, crisscross. There's 4 of them. And so now to get that, whoop, too much. Pull it back down a little bit. So we're here. You can adjust that to your liking. Now we'll take one from the one side, go across your crystal, and at the side of the bands, come back up. Okay. We'll put that in back in there in a second. My hands are hurting a little bit. It's not tied in there yet. And then from this side, so we just did the one, and so now from the opposite side, we'll take the front one, cross it across your crystal. Ooh, I think I just broke a nail. I think I did. This is hazardous work, you guys. Excuse me while I deal. Oh my goodness. Okay. Cross it across here in a nice, elegant way. When you get to the other side, just bring it back up. Okay. And certainly we could band them here and on the shoulder here, or you can use that crossover wire, which is what I did, to just tie the crystal in place. You want to make sure you stay seated. Just keep pressure downward. Now holding both sides. And you'll work that crossover wire through all four of them. Just keep, or through all three of them, I should say. Keep it all side by side. Make a nice little wrap right there at the shoulder. Get a little pinch on it. 22 gauge is very small wire. It's not very small, but it's small wire, so it's very easy to maneuver. Very easy to close and pinch. So your pinches, I know. I tried to paint my nails, you guys. It's a disaster. My hands will never be beautiful. So you just have to deal with it. So right there, I've wrapped it, I've pinched it, and you don't have to give 22 gauge too much. And I can bring it straight back up or use it however I want. For right now, I'll just park it straight back up. And then this side is the same. Make sure your crystal is nicely seated. Bring this one over here. Hold it all together. Then right here where it breaks at the shoulder right there, get your wire in there for a nice wrap. And then you can do a soft pinch. And then that's pretty much, the capture here. Now you can treat this whole business the same as you would a regular cabochon bail. And you can make, little adjustments if you need to, just like that, real simple. And that's a nice capture, right? You can bring these together and, like I said, perform regular bail maneuvers on them. Pinch it together right there, wrap it, give it a bail. And you can either terminate all the wires if you want to leave this a little more masculine, or you can bring them down and make curly work of it all. The other little thing I want to show you that you can do with these. So this is the wire that's actually got your crystal, right? The one that is below the point, where the ridge of it is. So this one up here is a little bit decorative. This one. So if I wanted it to be a little bit curlier, I can take this one with my round nose, and I might have done this before, I did anything else, but you can still do it after. Hold real carefully, and you just make a nice turn, nice and gentle, and you can make a little, like a little wave design right there. This one has to stay on the point of the crystal, otherwise it falls out. Okay, but you can do something like that, you know, and add a little whimsy to it or not, and just have it be a little more plain. Okay. And then of course we know how to make a bail up here. I'm not sure if you need me to go through that. I could real quickly. This is a lot of wire if I don't want a lot of business, or if I wanted more curly. Since I've got these sides wrapped, nothing says all of these have to stay up here. Okay, before you tie that neck together, and this is true for cabochon wraps as well, I can take, we did this with our rectangle, our narrow rectangle. I can take these and I can drop them back down, right? And eliminate them. So I can eliminate all that by saying, hey, I'm just going to come down here and make a little whimsy curl right there. So I'll save that nice length for something else. And I can take my round nose plier and I can give myself a little bit of a whimsy right there. A couple of stitches right there to hold on to that guy. Okay, so cute. Added a little something. Flip it. Do the same with the opposite side wire. If this were broader, I could do both these, but this is a narrow little crystal, so I'm just going to go with the one flow. You know, I can go this way and bring my curl that way instead of that way. Right? So over here, I'll just do it a little different to give you some options. Cut it. Get my round nose plier on it. Thank you, Liz. I'm glad you like this. This is a nice one. And then right here, just hold it. You know, you want to give yourself a little stability. I'm holding this nice curve with my thumb right there. Guitar picks to get in between these. Yeah, I wish I had one. And there's a nice little curl on that side. So now you have a double-sided design. You see how you have to tie that little guy or else he moves. And then the same, you know, now I have these 3 wires and I can do more or not with them. So if I want to do less and I don't want any more, what I like to do is just kind of, this is the one that ties, this is the one that ties. So these 2 will be my bail. I'll just pull these off to the side, the one that tied and the one that tied. And then these are the 2 centers. So I'm just going to do a quick and dirty bail on it. I'm going to get about 1.5 foot of 26 gauge. This is 22 gauge square, so they're pretty small. So I got 4 of them here together, and I'm just going to use all 4 of them because it's not going to be too much. It's a smaller wire. Make sure that my pinch is good right here, that they're sitting together nicely. Just give myself a little inch and anchor it. And then I'll just go around and I'll wrap for about 1 inch. Just going to do a nice big coil. I hope you guys are having fun so far. There's a lot that can be done with these. So I'm just wrapping. You know, certainly we can do it and spin the whole thing like this too. If your wires aren't so long that they bump your camera like mine do. So this is the fast way. Just keep them pushed down and spin your whole situation. Don't poke yourself in the eye with the 2 that are out in the air. Oh, a pendulum is a fantastic idea out of this wrap. Yay, Becky Novak. She's got a great idea. A pendulum, you guys. Well, it's not hard, Lindsay. It, you know what it is awkward if you're not used to it. But once you wrap a few, then it's not so bad. It's like everything else. Everything new feels weird in the beginning, but then you practice. And then after you've done a few, everything feels familiar. And then you go, oh yeah, I just need to get it around there like that. Okay, so there I go. I wrapped this nice big traditional bale with some 26 gauge wire. Ooh, and I'll just get rid of this leading one here. Ooh, cut it off. And I coiled up for about an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter. And then you can tap it a little bit if you need to. So this is a two-sided pendant here, right? So I'm going to put a little backward bend right here at the neck. Bend your coil in half so that this half of the wrap meets that half of the wrap. And I've still just got these two wires out here in case I want them. Bring these wires straight down the front, and then here, bend and push back so your bale kind of lives in the middle. You see that? It's going to live kind of in the middle of your crystal there. And that works, right? If you want to use these for design, okay? If you don't want to use them for design, don't do yours, just breathe. If you don't want to use them for design, then what I would do is cut the distance off to make it easy on yourself, and I'm going to do that because I've got plenty of business going on this pendant. I don't need any more design on it. And when I come through, before I bend them that way, okay, so I would have cut them, and then on my way, I wouldn't have gone the other way. I would bend them this way, pass through the neck with the tip. Make sure to not strike your crystal. Mine's a little wonky now because I bent it the opposite direction, so let me fix it real quick. So you'd come through the space right there. You can split these, two to either side. Make them nice. They lay a certain way side by side there. And then you can take a 360 wrap around those shoulders and end it. Oh, Carolyn loves this. She has Galena. Oh, hi, Galena. Oh, nice. Always glad when she can be here. And you can leave this little bit on if you want to tie some bead balls right there or anything else. I'm just going to snip it off enough that I can tuck it and hide it. I don't need it to wrap my bale neck around each other because I'm actually going to do that with these wires that I just passed through. Keep in mind, mine looks a little funky because I was showing you how to take them down the front. And I'm just going to tuck that end right in there and make sure it doesn't come out. And then obviously these right here, I can just do a 360 around the shoulder, snip it right there. I like to get real close, snip the tip off, and then get a nice little wrap around on it so that it ends right there at the shoulder. It's a little hard to get that tip turned inward. You have to leave your cut out a millimeter or so. Or like I said, you can do more design with those wires. But I think that you have tons of pendants where I do big design. And then I still have these two out to the side, same thing. I can add more, but let me just quickly tie these off. You get the idea for how this can be done, and we can go do more. You just tuck them neatly into that space right there. And then the reason I save these is because if those tucks, look a little funky or the cuts didn't go exactly right, you can take these, and certainly, do some twirly business and cover some of that up, or drop a spiral right there, and go around, kind of disguise things if it didn't go as nice as you planned, right? So that's up to you. I'm just showing you some things. If it goes really well and those ties went nice and clean for you, and go to the other side, then obviously we can just cut and tuck this guy, right? He doesn't need much, or we go up the bail. So if I were just going to cut and tuck them, it would just be right there. Turn that tip in and get a nice little tie. So this one can be more unisex. Hi, Opal Dreaming. Tourmaline crystal, great. Yeah, that looks beautiful on this. So there's a little, more traditional style that you can do onto this. And it captures your little crystal down there. Nice and easy peasy. And you have options. Okay. All right. So there's, how many have we done? We did one. We did this one. And you can always go back. We record all of these. So for those of you who came in here late, you can go back and see how we did these. And then we translated this one for your crystals into slender cabochon wrap, right? For slender marquise. This one would be beautiful in there. That's a nice palm root I got from Rare Earth. And it could be carved pieces for those of you who came came late. And then it can be, big crystal pieces like this. Might work in something here. That'd be beautiful in silver. Okay, so let's see. Those are those. I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to keep on moving. So, and that was Emily. Okay. And then this was traditional. Okay. And you see this was the one I showed you how to push them back, and then I stitched them so that they would stay.